On August 5th of this year, 10 Tren de Aragua gang members got caught on camera breaking into an apartment armed with pistols and rifles. Local authorities deny the prevalence of the situation, claiming it's hysteria. However, locals feel very different, and today on Decryption, we're going to dive a little deeper into that. My name's Ethan.
I'm Peter.
My name's Tanner.
Residents and even local leaders are in disagreement about the severity of the situation, with even local leaders disputing over the importance. In an interview with Aurora's mayor, Mike Kaufman, on August 29th, he confirms 2 buildings in the complex had been taken over by gangs and pushed out the landlord. He also stated the gangs had been collecting rent, and he then goes to say, "I think we're the victim of a failed policy at the southern border." Later the same day, he described the concern about Tren de Aragua as hysteria, and the DEA confirmed that Tren de Aragua is active in the area. On September 4th, the city of Aurora released a statement claiming the video was misleading and that the gang's presence was small. So far, they've linked 10 people in the Aurora area that are members of the gang. 6 have been released, and Aurora police recently let go of 2 of the quote-unquote suspected gang members out on bond, despite ICE wanting to assume custody of them.
How does ICE want to arrest you, and then you get arrested, and then ICE doesn't get custody of you?
There's something going on. Like, the local PD there is a little weird. And the same day, like, after the mayor had said that the apartment complex had been taken over, the same day he goes to say that it's mass hysteria. And I don't really get that part.
Yeah, another thing too that makes no sense is they said the videos were misleading. There's literally videos. There's literally videos of people with ARs guarding, or I'm pretty sure they're AK-47s, if I'm not mistaken. And they're like, there's multiple people just holding them, guarding the building. It's like, okay.
Or even the initial video. Like, I don't understand how that's misleading. Like, 10 men storming in through a door, kicking a door down. Some armed with pistols and some armed with rifles with scopes on them. Like, how is that misleading?
They'll probably say something like, oh, it's AI generated, because I've been seeing more people, like when you present evidence that is like on video, because photos can replicate like realistic, or AI can replicate realistic looking photos. And it can get close with videos, but you can still distinguish reality and fiction with AI videos. And these videos, AI cannot replicate videos to a T like this. It'll get there someday. But yeah, like you can't refute it. It's simply happening. And the fact that they're saying, oh, this is misleading, it's like, can you give us another explanation? That's all they say. Like, they just say it's misleading. They don't.
Like, the only thing it's got me leading to is the conclusion that they took over.
Yeah, because it's like they didn't even offer, like, what. There's like, whoa, it's a misleading video. It's like, okay, so what's really happening then? Like, oh, well, no, you can't ask those questions.
And they said that the presence was small and that it was hysteria, but most residents at the complex have actually moved out. And Cindy and Edward Romero called it a nightmare, showing reporters a series of locks on their doors in fear that they would be kicked in while they're sleeping.
And that was all on the news, wasn't it? Or
I'm not totally
sure. Or is it an investigation? It might have been a journalist that covered it. But I'm pretty sure I saw a video on that. And yeah, I mean, I can't remember if the landlord gave a quote, the landlord of the actual complex, because
today, I'm pretty sure like the day, I'm not sure when this video will come out, but today, pretty sure he's selling it. He's selling, really? Yeah, he's selling the complex.
Wow.
What's funny is, like, the police chief herself, well, she's an interim police chief, meaning she's taking place. She says the apartments haven't been taking over at all, which, if you ask any of the locals besides Venezuelan migrants, they will tell you that like there's gunshots at night, they got locks on their doors, and that is like I said, Cindy and Edward said that it was a nightmare. And any of the locals in that whole area, if you ask them, gunshots every night. They said they compared it to a third world atmosphere, which is kind of nuts, like considering we're supposed to be the strongest and best country in the world.
And you have clear conflicting information from your chief of police and the mayor, because the mayor, a few days before the chief of police spoke, was saying like, oh, like there might actually be a real problem here.
Yeah, and then the same day conflicted himself, saying it was hysteria. Like,
yeah. So either way, somebody is lying. Interesting enough, I was gonna say there you have puppet masters in this game. You know, you have the higher ups that we don't know who they are that pull the strings. Now let's go to Kamala Harris. She's been the border czar. I know there's been a lot of refute lately saying that she's not the border czar. No, she definitely is the border czar. That was confirmed in 2021, I believe it was. She is responsible for this whole border crisis. And we just made a video about Kamala recently. If you guys can go check it out.
I think it's so obvious what Kamala's doing, and that nobody sees it. It's crazy. She's the border Caesar, so this is her responsibility. And what she's doing, she's going to create a housing crisis by letting all these immigrants in. And corporations are going to buy all these homes, increase the rent. The immigrants are going to get putting in housing vouchers, which is actually what's happening in the apartments in Colorado. The ones that aren't gang members that we know of are on housing vouchers and aren't having to pay for anything. And you know who does have to pay for that stuff? We do.
Yeah, there's a Venezuelan gang member in Chicago, and he took a video at nighttime. There's gunshots going off in the back, and he was like laughing and saying how like this is their city now, like meaning the Venezuelan gang members. It's like it's their city now. And the very next day, that same guy was murdered, presumably by a Chicago gang member. But yeah, it shows that, you know, like this stuff doesn't fly. And how we've even gotten to this place in the first place, it's insane.
It's funny how our gang members are doing more than our government.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, hey, you know what? Let's read this good old article here, because
this is a good one.
Our government did do something. You say, oh man, these Venezuelans, well, hold on. Let me clarify. These Venezuelan gang members. I don't have any problem with any nationalities coming to America. I have a problem when you come in here illegally, and I especially have a problem when you come in here and commit crimes. Okay. So if I say Venezuelan, just know I am talking about the criminals that. They're literally criminals. I have more to say about that later. But first of all, let's talk about the Venezuelan gang members. The United States did do something pertaining to Venezuela recently. Drum roll, please. The United States has seized the Venezuelan president's plane. Problem solved. So to clarify, the United States actually seized the president's personal airplane. It landed in the Dominican Republic, and then we seized it, and it's right now it's in Florida. We claimed that they had illegally purchased it from the USA, but it's just very ironic why we have actual problems happening right now from Venezuela. And what I was going to say earlier is Venezuela, this was in 2022, I believe. Their prisons in Venezuela are overflown. They have more criminals than they do capacity in their prisons. So what they're doing is when they're bringing in violent criminals from the streets in Venezuela, they're going to take in a prisoner, and they're releasing a prisoner into the U.S. because we have an open border. So we've been having issues for a while now, but it's just extremely ironic that like how we're going to address it. Well, it's not even addressing it, but like in terms of what's going on between us and Venezuela, we're taking their president's plane, and it's worth $13 million. I mean, look, $13 million to the USA is literally nothing. I think I feel like the government's kind of trolling us, because it's like a slap in the face, because they don't care about $13 million. But there is an actual issue happening pertaining to Venezuela in the United States. And like all the citizens want something to be done. And when they do this, it has literally nothing to do with the actual issues that are affecting the American people. It's just I see it as a slap in the face and a mockery, because our government, I know this might sound controversial, but I genuinely believe our government hates us, because they're their own people. We are paying the repercussions of everything. Our borders are wide open. I mean, think of it like this. Because I know a lot of people say they want to be pro-open border because it's racist to not have open borders. First of all, there's only 2 first world countries in the world that have open border policies. Right now, there might just be one. The one is us. The second one is the UK. We don't know what's going on in the UK as of like the last 3 weeks, because their government has become so tyrannical. But before they became so tyrannical, they had open borders. So who knows if they still have open borders or not. But anyways, even second world countries, even a lot of third world countries have closed borders. It makes sense. Now, if you want to say not having open borders is racist, let me ask you this. You lock your house up at nighttime, and you don't lock up your house at nighttime because you're racist. You lock up your house at nighttime because you don't want anyone breaking in, stealing things, or murdering you. You don't even care you don't even ask, well, when I say someone breaking in, It doesn't matter what skin color they are. You don't want anyone doing it in general. It's simple as that. You don't leave your car unlocked. So if you have that mindset of, oh, you needed an open border or you're racist, well, Mr. Man or woman or they, them, or whatever you are, you better leave your doors unlocked. You better leave your car unlocked or else you're racist. Simple as that.
Yeah.
Now, one last thing I want to mention is this letter that was written, and it was February 29th, 2024. It was written by 4 members of Congress, and it was actually written to other members of Congress. They wrote, and you can find this, it's on a .gov website, nehls.house.gov. It's on that website. You can find a PDF of it. Nothing has happened since then, by the way. But anyways, they wrote a letter on September 22nd, 2022, regarding concerns about the Department of Homeland Security, their intelligence report received by the U.S. Customs and Border Protection, that basically it instructed agents to look for violent criminals from Venezuela that were being transported in caravans headed towards the U.S.-Mexico border. Now, they were writing this letter specifically because at this time, this was in September 2022, by the way, there had been a recent wave of violent crimes being carried out across America by Venezuelan nationals posing an emerging threat to the American people. And again, not meaning Venezuelans in general, because they're not all harmful. This is Venezuelan gang members. Like I said earlier, their president, as of 2022, I believe it was literally started emptying out their prisons because their prisons were overflowing. He was just releasing prisoner after prisoner after prisoner into the United States.
Like what?
That's horrible. Like, I don't care what you guys have to say about that. Why would you ever want people... They've been arrested in their own country. Why would you ever want them just walking around on the streets free as day here? But anyways, this gets a lot crazier.
That's how you get hurt. Not knowing that person was literally, caught for murder, and then it got brought here, and you're just sitting here like, Billy Bob, and it ain't gonna hurt you.
Absolutely. So they continue to write in this letter. As you know, in September 2022, the Venezuelan regime, under the control of Nicolas Maduro Moras, was reportedly releasing prisoners early. So I was right, September 2022. He was releasing violent prisoners early, including inmates convicted of, quote, murder, rape, and extortion. Horrible. And pushing them to join caravans headed to the United States. Since then, we have seen the tragic consequences of allowing Venezuelan nationals into the interior of the United States. Now, what do I mean about we've seen the consequences? Here we go. Most recently, the country mourned the brutal murder of 22-year-old Laken Riley, a nursing student at the University of Georgia, who was attacked and killed while on a run by a Venezuelan national who was paroled into the U.S. in September of 2022, literally as soon as they began releasing him to the United States. He's one of the first ones here. He murdered a 22-year-old girl, a nursing student at the University of Georgia. Now get this. He entered illegally, and like I said, September 2022. He had been arrested once before. He came into our country, September 2022. He proceeded to get arrested. Our own government released him out of jail, and then after getting released out of jail, he murders a woman. What are we doing? Like, actually, what are we doing? This guy is in our country illegally. First of all, why do we accept him? Send him right back. Okay, we accept him for whatever reason. And then he commits a crime. Why is he here? Like, seriously, why is he here? And then our government says, actually, let's just release him. And what could go? And then when we release him, we don't send him back. And what happens? He murders somebody. That is one of the consequences. But it gets worse. For all you people out here that are nonsensical and are like, oh, I don't care. You guys are ridiculous. You guys are your ideology is responsible for our country rotting. Or we are rotting right now. It's insane. The same day that Laken Riley was killed, the same day a 32-year-old Venezuelan gang member that had been brought over here. This guy had been brought here in September of 2023. He entered illegally. He had also been previously detained and released. And what does he do after he committed a crime, was released by our government, just like the first guy. What does he do after being released from prison? He sexually assaults a 14-year-old girl. The same day. I mean, every single one of you people that are out here advocating for open borders, you should be disgusted with yourself.
And
because
you should leave your house unlocked.
Yes, absolutely. And now you guys want to support Kamala. Kamala Harris is responsible for this. There are literally American lives that were taken, or women that were raped, that were not, they were minors. I mean, yeah.
And remember, guys, unfortunate things happen every day. But just like Tanner said, these things didn't have to happen. Like, if there were the precautions that we set up as a country, right, that we all agreed on, not like we, me, and you, right, but, you know, as a country that's been going on for hundreds of years, as soon as we put those walls down, just like Tanner said, you guys can see the consequences. And it's not a problem between this guy's skin color, this person's race, this person's gender, because it could be a female, a male, a black, a white. It could be anybody. If you're not where you're supposed to be and you're doing things you're not supposed to be doing, yeah, people are going to be upset. And to all the people that, like Tanner said, can't seem to just grasp reality, that's like, just sleep with your door unlocked and see how well you like it.
And the other thing that I really wish you guys would sink into your mind is when we say American lives are being taken, that does not mean white lives are being taken. One of the best things about America is our diversity. We have American does not mean white. American is American. It's simple as that.
We're known to be a melting pot of people like that.
Yes, and it's honestly a strength of ours. However, when you just open up the borders and let everyone come in, there's a saying that is very true. When you import the third world, you become the third world. And it's as simple as our big cities are in shambles. Look at San Francisco right now. Look at Seattle. Look at Oregon. Even New York City is starting to become slum-like. Chicago areas are becoming slum-like. I mean, all of your big cities where all these migrants are going, and again, not saying it's all of them, but I think you guys can tell from whatever. I'm going to read more here in a second. But like, they are rotting our country. You can't just open up your border, let anyone come in and not care about it. It's such an obvious recipe for disaster. You don't just let it happen unless you're intentionally trying to destroy this country from the inside out. And that's why I said earlier, I think our government hates us, because we have people from Venezuelan gangs coming here and murdering our people, and our government does do something and we seize their airplane. That's only worth $13 million. Like, it's such a slap in the face. Like, yeah. If you're voting for Kamala, I hope that you're just uneducated and don't know about what's been happening. Because if you are aware of what's been going on and still proceed to vote for Kamala, shame on you.
She'll literally tell you herself what she's doing. Go watch a couple videos and she'll tell it to you. Yeah. Don't take our word for it. Take her word.
And, okay, so I'll continue. I'll finish up this article. It's going off of, it says that both of these vicious attacks were completely preventable, which Peter also touched on. Completely true. If it weren't for Kamala's disastrous border policies, our country is also facing the effects of Venezuelan gangs posing as asylum seekers, because that's what everyone wants to claim. Well, they're just asylum seekers. We're not checking. We're not IDing any of them. We don't know that they're obviously. If you have terrible intentions to destroy a country and that's what you want to do, you're not just going to show up and be like, "Hey, I'm here to kill all your people." You're going to say, "I'm an asylum seeker." So they're claiming to be asylum seekers. They're turning our cities into war zones. That is true.
And you have to remember, if everything was being done the right way, then we wouldn't have this whole conflict, as in the left and the right, aka. These asylum seekers, if they were actually seeking asylum, just like I said, if the system was actually working the right way, which isn't that hard. I mean, you see other countries do it. Other countries, yes, they have closed borders, but that's the whole reason they can close their borders, because they do it properly. Like, every time someone wants to come in, they check them in. They make sure all the documents are correct. They make sure everything's legit. And if it's not, they send them back. They say, "You can't come in here. I'm sorry to tell you that."
And the other thing, too, is for the longest time in America, we did have closed borders. We would let people in, but there was a process. We'd have to document them, because you don't just let people in, you don't know who they are. And guess what? We've been a very diverse nation for a long time. We're becoming more and more diverse. And like I said, I genuinely do believe that is a strength of ours. So clearly it's not an issue that we're an inherently racist country. No, we have always been letting people in, except it was under control. And no one had a problem with us doing that. And now all of a sudden that it's open, now if we shut it, now it is a problem. Like, we didn't have innocent lives being taken for literally no reason at all, and now we do. And you guys want to defend that? Like, come on.
I think the same people advocating for open borders are the same people that think communism would work as an actual system. Yeah. Delusional. And I feel bad for you guys, because you guys have been lied to by the U.S. propaganda machine. In a perfect world where everybody's a good person, it would work. But this is not a perfect world by any means.
Yeah. And you should see the examples by people getting killed, people getting essayed, and all sorts of things. Like, this ain't no perfect world, so stop advocating for the wrong cause.
Okay, now to close things out, I'm going to finish reading this document that was written by some members of our Congress. I read the first sentence earlier, but I'll start from there. Our country is also facing the effects of Venezuelan gangs posing as asylum seekers who are turning our cities into war zones. Look at Chicago. Specifically, the Venezuelan Tren de Aragua gang, known for torturing victims, has established its presence in New York City. The Venezuelan robbery gang recruits its new members from migrant shelters, as Ethan was telling you about, that's going on, and off migrant buses, which are all over the border. Where they've committed more than 60 robberies in New York City, including the aggravated robbery of a woman in her 60s who was dragged down the sidewalk and slammed into a pole, sustaining injuries. The FBI fears as the Venezuelan gang expands its strength, it may team up with the infamous MS-13 International Criminal Gang, which is known to form alliances with other criminal groups. Should this happen, we fear the additional consequences innocent Americans will face. So that's what we're up against. We need government restructure. We don't need Kamala. Yeah, we don't need Kamala.
Trump's not much better, but better he is. And that's I don't like Trump as a person, but I'm not gonna not vote for him because I don't like him. I'm gonna vote on the fact that this country needs a change, and that Kamala is only gonna put us down.
Make it worse.
Yeah, we're going backwards with Kamala.
And actually, I know I said I was going to wrap it up, but speaking of Trump, get this. In the year 2020, Donald Trump's final year of his first term, 4,520 Venezuelans were encountered by CBP at America's border. This number grew significantly. So 4,520 under Trump in 2020. When Joe Biden took office in 2021, 50,499 from 4,520 on Trump. First year Biden, 50,499. Year 2 under Biden, 189,520. Year 3, 334,914.
Actually, if you go on the Federation for American Immigration Reform website, or FAIR for abbreviated, you can see how many immigrants are coming in each day. Like, I checked it earlier today. It's probably above that, but when I last checked it, it was 6,127, I think it was. Like, that is a lot of people, and nobody cares.
Yeah. Well, like I said, it's because we fell for the propaganda machine that if you question this, that you're racist. That is the most ridiculous thing I've heard in my entire life. I mean, like I said earlier, you don't lock your doors to your house at nighttime because you're racist. You do it to keep yourself safe and protected. It is as simple as that. I mean, you don't close your borders because you're racist. And if you think that is what a closed border means, be willing to say that every single country in the entire world outside of the United States and the United Kingdom and a couple of third world countries, every single country is racist. But then you guys will also probably claim that America is racist still when we do have an open border. So it's like, what do you guys want? What do you guys want? You guys are going to say it no matter what we do. Maybe you guys should self-reflect and think, maybe I'm just spewing hatred because maybe I have something with myself I don't like, which self-reflection is needed for all of us. But if you're going to say open borders are how we're going to fix this problem of racism, then we do have open borders. Then you're like, well, America's still racist. It's like, are you going to be happy with anything,
No, that's the thing, dude. No.
Yeah, exactly. You know, if you want to make me the bad guy, make me the bad guy, but think about the words I'm saying. I don't even know you people. If you're mad about this, if the shoe fits, the shoe fits. No. So that's all I got to say.
Yeah, with that being said, this was Decryption Podcast, and my name's Ethan.
My name's Peter.
My name's Tanner, and sorry for going on a tangent. I'm just very passionate, and I want the best for America. So, I'm not telling you who to vote for, but don't vote for Kamala.
We want the best for our league. Peace and love.
Peace and love.